Hi, I'm Chris Corbell,
Hi, I'm Randall Mills.
and this is Arts and Entertainment
with Chris and Randall.
Chris and Randall. That's really good, yeah. 'Cause, hey, everybody. So
Okay, yeah, so this is our
that should
first
show you,
episode.
as you can tell by the fact that there was a delay between the two of us. Hope you're okay, everybody watching. Hope you're in a safe and warm environment. What is the point of this show, you're probably wondering. Randall, what is the point of this show?
Well, we've been friends for how long? Like, I don't know,
Almost
forever.
20 years.
And we always
This is
talk
frightening.
about movies and art and stuff, right?
Arts and entertainment, yeah.
So we're
The
gonna turn
media, all that stuff.
We're gonna turn that conversation into a show, right? That's the idea,
Yes.
right?
Because we find it very amusing. Maybe you'll find it amusing. If not, well, you can watch Cats for the next few minutes or something.
I saw Cats, by the way, with the
You
net.
did?
Yeah, my girlfriend, because she wanted to watch it, and you know what? It's pretty good, actually.
Is it really? I don't know.
Everybody gives
I'm
it
such
crap.
a snob. I didn't even see it when it was on Broadway because
Look.
I just thought that looked too common.
Back in the 90s, you never seen it at all? Well, back in the 90s, they made they recorded it off the stage. There's like a DVD version of it, and I watched that.
Yes, with Betty Buckley. I love Betty Buckley.
It's really good. And then if you watch, that's all I've seen. And then I watched the movie. The movie's basically Cats. I mean,
Well,
they just did it.
it's But okay, before we go any further, I want to hear about this from you. So let's talk.
We weren't even supposed to talk about Cats. We were supposed to talk about movies
We're
of
going
the
to talk
60s.
about other stuff. We'll talk. Here's the deal with Randall and I. It's very much like we're going to have an agenda, but then Randall's going to say one thing, and we're going to completely abandon the agenda for a little while, or I'm going to say one thing and completely abandon. So it's just kind of improvisational. So Cats, the musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber, based on the T.S. Eliot poem that I don't remember the name of. That was a Broadway musical in the 1980s. Randall just saw the version with the horrifying animatronics, animation with Taylor Swift, and I don't remember who.
There was some janky stuff. I mean, there were some visuals that weren't that great looking, but I mean, there were a lot of visuals that were great looking. Like, for instance, all the Cats actors, they animated all their ears and tails. And it looked great. It was really well done.
Really?
But then there was all sorts of stuff like jumping through the air and stuff that just looked bad, but some of the backgrounds, but I mean, it was basically like a green screen production. I mean, of course it's going to be rough. Yeah. I mean, what's wrong with that? You don't like it? She was great. By the way, that was the lead.
I don't like that at all. I mean, I'll just
it's
say
just Cats
this much.
though. It's just like the show, the stage show. It's the same thing.
No.
Is that your argument?
This is the Broadway stage show. Now that is cool. I don't know if you can see it, but see how much cooler that looks? That's much cooler. That's creative.
But there's a lot of different Cats.
There's hair.
There's a lot of different Cats.
It's not realism. It's not realism. That's the thing. I think the thing, it's like the uncanny valley. And let's explain the uncanny valley for a moment, right? So that's
not the uncanny valley. All right, go ahead.
Well, because it is to me, because it's like it looks like a cat, but it's got a human quality. It's like the island of Dr. Moreau, where the guy turns people into animals.
All right.
To me, it's more like a horror show.
Well, you haven't even seen it. I think people made fun of it because they saw a trailer.
The makeup with my eyes. But yes, you said it was good.
It's basically the old stage Cats makeup, and they animated the ears and tails. That's it.
No, it's remotely nothing like. I just showed you a photograph of how radically different. The stage makeup was, first off, makeup.
Look, we're not supposed to
talk CGI. Let's talk about it. Let's have some fun for a little while. Come on.
The stage makeup is CGI?
No, the stage makeup is not. That's the difference between theater and film. I mean, it's a very big difference. It's almost why it's very hard to see a play you like or a musical you like adapted into a film, because the aesthetics are just so radically different.
But they're not. I mean, I'm serious.
They're 100% different.
If you watch the 90s DVD back to back with this movie, it would be
Yes.
so similar. You'd be like, oh, that's like I don't even know why I'm watching the same thing
No,
over.
no, because the very fact that look at the costumes, look at the fact it was done on a stage, not a sound stage, but a theater stage with all the limitations of a theater stage for an audience. I just don't know how you can say that.
Yeah, but look, when they made the movie, so you haven't seen the movie, but the movie they tried to preserve that aesthetic, the theater aesthetic. They brought in
How
actual
can
dancers.
you
The lead is a ballerina, so they
I
had
get your
actual
point.
dancing. What?
I get your point. Continue. Go
Yeah,
on.
so they had actual dancing. It was like an old Hollywood musical, with a lot of dancing and musical numbers, and they just jazz it up with some computer graphics.
But an old Hollywood musical is not a stage musical, right?
Yeah, but they
It's a very
borrowed from each
different
other. They
experience.
borrowed from each other. Like you've read about the Ziegfeld Follies, right?
Yes, the Ziegfeld Follies.
Yeah,
I've
was that the
read
big one? Was that the big one back in the 20s and 30s and before? Yeah, so that was the big one. That was a stage one, right? That was on the stage.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I've been to the Ziegfeld Theater.
I haven't
in New
seen
York
it, but
City.
everything I've read about it in pictures, it shows me that old Hollywood really borrowed from that. I mean, that was like that sort of aesthetic was like what they were going for. I mean, look at the 20s and 30s musicals. That was the heyday of the Hollywood musical. Those musicals were they didn't have computer graphics back then.
Right, but remember,
I mean, it's the same kind of
the difference
aesthetic.
between a camera, but it's the difference between a camera and a cut and an edit, and someone sitting in a chair from a proscenium theater, no cuts, no camera, just a human being
I will say,
sitting on a. I mean, that's a very different choreography.
Okay, I will say
that's a very different kind of direction.
Right. Okay, I will say there was some editing in the movie that I thought it was unnecessary. Like, of course, there's like a movie kind of dance editing where somebody's dancing and they cut different angles. But it's way better if you just keep the same angle and you don't cut, right? You just show the person dance, right? I mean, that's
I like
Bubsy Berkeley. The Bubsy Berkeley.
Fred Astaire always insisted that you have a medium shot whenever you saw him dancing, so that you would know it was him who was dancing. His legs are always in the shot. Gene Kelly also is really insistent on that too.
Right, and you look at those old Hollywood musicals, a lot of them, they don't have so much cutting, it's like they're not cutty, so like you can really see the dancing, and you can really believe that they're dancing, right? I mean,
yeah.
See, in this movie, they had actual great dancers doing actual great dancing, and, just like the play. And there were really well done shots where there wasn't a lot of cutting, okay? They really did try to put some dancing in there, okay? But yeah, they did do a little bit of cutting in there, and so I guess that's your point. It's like you can fake dancing, you can fake a lot of the action in Hollywood when you're shooting a movie, right? Is that your point?
I'm just saying that I think I just don't think that it's Tom Hopper. I just don't think that in general musicals from the stage rarely. Not always. I'll give you a few examples in a moment where it has worked, but it's very hard for them to. It's not easy. It's just not easy to do that. And I think the big mistake they made with Cats was to use a movie effect, which is to try to truly make them look like cat people, as opposed to the stage effect, which was just to look expressionistic.
And again, you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it.
No, but I can.
You haven't even seen the DVD. You haven't even seen the play.
Right.
I can't believe this. I'm arguing with you about Cats. You haven't seen either of them.
All right. Well, then I'm going to flip it just slightly now. Have you ever seen Jesus Christ Superstar?
Well, I watched. They just reshowed it on NBC. NBC did their production. They showed a rerun. Cool. I watched it the first time around, which was like a year or two ago. So yeah, I've seen it.
Hold that thought for just a sec, okay? Good. Okay. We have a point of discussion here. So I have seen that version. I also saw the film version of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
And I just saw a recent production that was aired this past weekend of Jesus Christ Superstar that was done in a rock arena in England very recently, with Melanie C. from the Spice Girls and Tim Minchin.
Okay.
Do you know who Tim Minchin is?
It sounds familiar. I don't know who he is.
Do you know who Tim Minchin is? So you can just.
No, I
He's
don't know.
like a British comic who plays piano and tells. Okay, he's got like eyeshadow and long blonde hair.
Okay,
That's
sounds
okay.
very familiar.
He's Judas Iscariot, and in this version, Mel C was Mary Magdalene. And in the NBC production, which is pretty good, do you need me to look it up, or do you remember who the leads were?
On NBC?
Yeah.
It was John Legend, right? And
John Legend was Jesus, and
then who else?
Nora it was let's look it up. Because I think he was someone well known also as Judas.
But look, you're trying to make a point. What's your point?
Hold on. Yeah, give me a second, buddy. Yeah, I'm trying to make a point, but I also
this show's only supposed to be a half hour.
Sarah Bareilles, and don't worry, man. It really does. No, Jesus Christ was actually John Legend, and who did you just say was Judas Iscariot?
I don't know.
You just said it.
I don't remember. John Legend and who?
Oh, Lord, now I got to do this. Just give me the second, because it's important. It's really quite important. You just said it, Sarah Bareilles. Well, anyway, here's my point. I've never seen, no, I don't think I've ever seen it on stage, though I have listened to the original cast album. The film was done in the early 70s, and it is very much a product of a hippie mindset. Oh, look, it's a really hippie musical.
I could definitely
it's a super
see
hippie
that.
Musical. Jesus Christ
for sure.
Superstar, for those of you who don't know, is kind of originally conceived that Jesus was the original hippie, and that the kids who followed him and his disciples, they were free love hippies. And it was one of the earliest rock musicals. And Judas Iscariot in the original cast album is voiced by a guy named John Lord, who was the lead singer for Deep Purple, a very big 60s acid rock band coming out of England. So it is, it's a very pivotal and important musical. And the film, you should watch it sometime. It's like a stoner film. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those movies that are so whacked out. And maybe Cats is like this too, where like you can kind of enjoy it on a very camp level. Does that make sense? Randall?
I can totally see Jesus Christ Superstar enjoying it on a camp level because it's such a campy idea. I mean, it's
right, and the film has tanks, and it's filmed in the desert, and it's just so it's insane.
Cats, it's more like if you watch Cats, it's more like it's for kids. Like I could totally tell like they're making this movie for kids.
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up just really quickly to see who directed the film, because it's such a product of the late 60s and hippieism, and it's just so bad. It's so removed from the musical as to just be I'm just looking it up right now because it's so, I got to know this. Who directed? Norman Jewison, who did Moonstruck, who was a great director from Canada, did it. So not even a bad director, an excellent director, someone kind of like a Tom Hooper of his day, an Academy Award winning director doing some crazy ass shit. But
Tom Hooper,
I got to say, I did enjoy the NBC version you saw. And I loved, if you saw it this weekend, and it was only being aired this weekend, and I guess every weekend now one of these theaters is going to stream for free on YouTube a musical. But I was just, man, this was great. So what was your take on the NBC one that you saw?
Well, like I said, I only watched part of it, but it's funny you just say, keep talking on my voice.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I really think both the NBC version and the version I just saw this weekend did is they did a great job of contemporizing it, bringing it up to the world we live in. And I also thought, and not by accident, it was really well filmed for both the audience in the theater I can't speak to, but for the people watching it at home. I thought that it was a much better way of presenting something that you could sit back in your own TV screen and enjoy, whether it was the NBC version or the English version I just saw.
Oh yeah, technically it was very well done. I mean, I'm somebody who, records shows off of live shows off of stages all the time, and I could see like how well done it was. I mean, yeah, of course, they know what they're doing
So
over there.
what are the challenges of that, and what did they get right, at least in the NBC version, that made you go, yeah, that kind of works?
Well, audio is always the hardest part. A lot of movies, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of dialogue in movies is re-looped, or they after they shoot it, the actors go in and they record the lines, and it happens way more often than people think, and if you don't really, if you have a trained ear, if you know if you know what it sounds like, you can kind of hear all the re-looping when you watch a movie, and
Oh,
it's kind of like
really?
annoying, yeah, because it happens all the time. I watched the behind the scenes, Raiders of the Lost Ark, I
Yeah.
watched the what is it, the commentary with the commentary on, and I don't know who it was, but like the sound guy or somebody was on it, and he said, get this, he said like 80% of the dialogue in Raiders of the Lost Ark was re-looped.
That makes sense.
That?
Also, in these live productions, you've got multiple cameras, you have handheld cameras, so it's still a continuous take.
Well, see, that production, they had to record the audio coming out of the people's mouths, because it's live. So, I mean, that must have been I mean, they have to mic everybody up, and then somebody's got to be mixing it all, and I mean, yeah, it's crazy. And then you can see like they had like a 300-degree stage or something, and so they had to
In the
decide where they're going to
rounds.
put cameras. At one point, I'm just remembering this from last year. At one point, they had a camera guy walk on stage maybe a couple times, and
Yeah, on both productions, they do that, where they have cameras on the stage as part of the audience.
yeah, I mean, it was quite complicated. And
is it like kind of watching a football game, I guess?
Yeah, sports. Well, yeah, you got it. I mean, sports, obviously, they're like the pioneers in it all. I mean, they got all those dozens of cameras like shooting the field and all sorts of things going on. But, the thing about sports is audio is not that big of a deal. So, like, it's probably harder to capture like a play like Jesus Christ Superstar.
Well,
that's probably
because like I watch Saturday Night Live, and every time they have live music, it sucks. They really
Why
do.
you say that? The audio?
The mix, the audio is just weak. And I know it's because it's just not good. I mean, for whatever reason.
I always thought it was pretty good, no?
No, I mean, look, that was a room that originally Arturo Toscanini used to, back in the 50s, the NBC orchestra was there. And so I know acoustically it was built for great sound, but there's something, and maybe it's rock and roll, I don't know what, but there's something about the live mix that is always just a little off.
Well, you know what? It's hilarious. It's hilarious that now that we're I can't believe we're not talking about anything. We're just going for something. But, have you ever read Steve Albini? You know who Steve Albini is?
Yeah, of course. The producer.
Okay. Steve Albini, he was a punk rock guy. He was one of the founding members of Big Black, which was like a hard rock, punk rock band that used like a drum machine. I loved it. I loved their sound. But Steve Albini, he became like a recording engineer, and he wanted to record other bands and stuff.
Nirvana.
And he's like philosophically pure, this guy, he's a character, right? But he has this great tract, this great essay he wrote about recording live music, like in a studio or on the road, wherever you're going to record it. And and it's been years since I read it, but it's like he starts off by saying that like he says these are the basics that a recording engineer needs to know. I mean, this guy's a total dick, everybody knows he's a total dick, right? So he says these are the basics a recording engineer needs to know, and it just goes on and on, like hundreds of words about microphones and which microphone you're supposed to use on which instrument, and your eyes will just glaze over. You'll just be like, oh, I never want to record anything ever again. But yeah, the guy, I mean, that's how complicated it can get. There's like dozens of different kinds of microphones, and each microphone sounds different on each instrument. I guess
maybe it's just that Saturday Night Live just doesn't budget, or maybe the room is too small, or maybe.
Well, I am sure that they just have the same recording setup for every single band that rolls in, and if they change the recording setup for each band, according to like the instrumentation, it'll probably be better. But I doubt they do that.
So that's why when it's like something like what I just saw, or the other version of Jesus Christ Superstar, they deliberately do it to that particular show.
Oh, right. Jesus Christ Superstar. So, yeah, that NBC show, I mean, they would have mic'd just for that show. You know, NBC, Saturday Night Live, they probably have like a standard mic setup for every single act that rolls in, and then they just like use that same thing over and over. Like, yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, that explains a lot. I mean,
It's like if you see a live show, this is what I wanted to say. If you see a live show, like if you go to see a concert,
yeah,
that concert you're watching, the sound engineers have probably, I'm going to imagine, they've probably meticulously crafted all the mic placements and the mic selections and you know, put them all the appropriate places and tested them, and you know, because they're doing the same show everywhere and it's the same band, right? So
yeah.
so when you go to see a show, you know, if it's high end band with a big staff, you know, the recording has been customized just for that act and that band, you know, and that performance, right? Like
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
There are performers who will only use the same mic over and over, like Aerosmith, Steven Tyler. You know, that guy's famous for always using the same mic stand, but he uses the same mic, I think, over and over. There's other performers, they always use the same mic. I saw a show, what is it, Bauhaus? That guy in Bauhaus. I saw that guy one time. He uses a different mic for like every song, just about. Well, no, he used two or three different mics for the show I saw, but like he had a different mic for every song. Depending on like how he wanted it to sound.
Well, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like right now, I'm watching a lot of people playing music from home, big musicians in their recording studios, and it is weird how it definitely, you know, hearing Chris Martin from his own home studio or Nick Lowe from their own home studio just doesn't have quite the pizzazz of hearing them on a big stage. You know? So yeah. Definitely everything seems just a little more lo-fi.
All right, so we have 5 more minutes.
We have 5 more minutes?
Yeah, should we talk about the subject we're supposed to talk about?
No, we're going to have to talk about that in our next installment because it's a good one, but I don't want to just waste it in 5 minutes. Let's record another one as soon as we're done here, and then people can listen to that one if they like.
Really? You want to do the subject after this?
Yeah. Hey, so while we're on the topic of live performance, live music, what's your favorite live albums? What's your favorite concert movies?
Well, you know what I started watching like, I don't know, a couple months ago.
What's your favorite? Yeah. Is that your favorite, the one you just started watching?
Maybe. Okay. I started watching a couple months ago. It was the Woodstock. They did a remaster of the Woodstock movie.
That's a classic.
Yeah, you know, and you know,
that's D.A. Pennebaker.
I don't remember, maybe, but you know,
I think
you know who was an intern on that movie was Martin Scorsese.
Scorsese, yeah, actually.
And so he has a credit. He has a credit on the remaster. I don't know if he had a credit before.
No, he was. My mom actually met him while he was editing the Woodstock film. It was a big deal.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it was a big deal.
Where'd you meet him? Tell the story.
My mom was at a party in the late 60s or early 70s. She was introduced to him, and he looked very tired. And he said that he had just been busy editing a movie, and I believe he said it was the Woodstock movie. Now I got to see if it was D.A. Pennebaker because I'm a little crazy that way.
Are you telling me?
No, it was Michael Wagdley. Never heard of him. But then again, what do I know? That was your favorite film concert?
Well, you know, you should watch it. Well, you know, I have.
I've seen it. It's great.
Listen, I have, the remaster, you know, they redid the sound and everything. I have like, you know, a 6.1 audio surround sound home theater system, you know, sounds great, whatever, you know. I handpicked all the speakers from thrift stores, you know, around town. Sounds great.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, the sound is phenomenal. And, you know, it's all the more impressive because I can't imagine, I'm watching this, you know, you watch it and it sounds amazing. And I can't imagine how they recorded it. I mean, they were using reel-to-reel tape decks, right? They were using reel-to-reel tape decks and film cameras, and they're in the mud. It's raining. I don't know how they did it. I mean, it sounds amazing.
Well, it's a documentary on that. I would say for myself personally, Jonathan Demme's 1986 Stop Making Sense.
You know what? I started watching that, and it's not bad.
Talking Heads what?
It's not bad. It's all right.
It's good. I saw it on I saw it on a big screen. I've seen it on the small screen, but it's very good on the big screen. He filmed it over 2 nights at the Pantages Theater here in Los Angeles. The cameras are on the stages. Obviously he has better access to audio equipment, but I think there's a lot of things. I like Jonathan Demme's. He did a Spalding Gray's first solo show, filmed it at least, which was not his first solo show. It was the first solo show to be filmed, which is Swimming to Cambodia. I think Demme is just very good at capturing live performances, creating both the sense of the intimacy that you would get if they were performing just for you without losing, especially in Stop Making Sense, the feeling that you are still in front of a large audience.
I don't know. I think the Demi's capturing of the band is just adequate in that movie, but
no, like, I strongly disagree, and I will take you on this one, because first off, you watched it on a small screen, which
that's right.
You lose a lot of the composition, you lose a lot of the sound of it, you lose a lot of the experience. You have a good
I have a 6.1 home theater system.
You have a good size TV and a great sound system, but in a big theater, in a dark theater with a bunch of other people in the room and giant speakers, it is very, very good at simulating a concert-like experience, which was the goal in 1986 when Demme filmed it. He didn't say, I want to really make something that's going to be really good on your VHS.
Well, I don't know what they did right in Woodstock, but I feel like the audio in Woodstock is just head and shoulders above almost any other concert movie. I'm not sure why it sounds so great. Maybe it's something to do with the remastering process. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're definitely, I know there's people listening to us that are going to debate whether we're right or wrong, and it's always going to be personal taste. They're both considered to be excellent music documentary. Well, they're both considered to be excellent concert films. So it's not like either of us picked something obscure, like, I don't even know what would an obscure one be. It's not like we picked a Justin Timberlake.
There's a lot of obscure ones out there, because I'll often select the title based on its IMDb score. There's a lot of bands out there with concert videos that have really high IMDb scores, because I think all the fans of the band go out there and they like IMDb it up, And
I'll tell you what, one of the worst, not a concert movie, but one of the worst rock music movies were, which strangely enough was a TV movie made in the mid-'60s for ABC television. It is thoroughly unwatchable. And it's the Beatles in the Magical Mystery Tour. One of my favorite albums, one of my favorite bands, but oh my God, try as I might, and I've tried 3 times to watch a bootleg version of it. It's just exhausting.
Yeah, a lot of the Beatles stuff, it's not that good.
Bullshit. No,
like the best Beatles show ever was the Monkees. Am I right? Am I right?
You're just 000 no. No, I'm just saying, even though they made the wonderful Hard Day's Night, a very amusing Help, the excellent Yellow Submarine, even though they were just very engaging guys in the concert for Bangladesh, is wonderful. There are so many great uses of those guys as a band, as solo artists, but oh my God, that one just is horrifying. Help is not great, but it can't be fun. But
the Monkees was good, right? You can agree, right?
The Monkees was fun. Yeah, they were fun. Okay. Yeah, they were great. I enjoyed them a lot. We're out of time.
Well, you wanted to keep this to a half an hour.
Are. So, but the Monkees is a pretty good preview of what our next episode's about.
That's right.
Monkees. You know the story behind the Monkees, don't you?
Why don't you tell it?
NBC wanted to catch in on the Beatles fever, and they posted a sign, a wanted ad in Barney's Beanery in West Hollywood for musicians to audition. Did you know that? Barney's Beanery,
I didn't know this story.
For those of you who are watching, is one of these great, how do you describe Barney's for a sec?
It's just an really old bar in the middle of West Hollywood. Well, middle of Hollywood.
No, man, you got to give it more than that. It's not just a little old bar. It's
a real old bar. It's from like 1919 or something.
Right, but in the 60s, it was just a big hangout. It was pool everywhere, bar, burgers, chili, Tex-Mex food, really cheap, really good. And it was just the scene. And Stephen Stills, who was at that time going to, I forgot, was he in he was in another band before he was in Crosby, Stills, Nash.
Hey man, I'm Stephen Stills.
I'll look it up later.
How you doing?
I remember he told his friend Peter Tork, he saw the ad and he should go out for it.
Hey,
And
Peter,
the
you
rest
should go
is
out for this.
history. And I'm really fascinated by the Hollywood scene of the 60s, especially the music
me too.
scene. And on our next installment, that is what we're going to be talking about.
That's what we were supposed to talk about. We're supposed to talk about
today, but we ended up with cats and Andrew Lloyd Webber and live music. So
yeah, because you wanted to talk about cats.
Well, because we were on a good jag. So I'm Chris Corbell.
Randall Mills.
Thanks for watching.
All right. Goodbye.
Talk later. Bye.